review. Thank you for everything. Could you please describe for us your latest project, Metallic Life Review? Two things in particular. Where and when did you collect the sounds and samples included in that project? And why did you decide to record live in studio the second part of the album, having a so articulated palette of sounds to work with?
So the sounds from Metallic Life Review stretch across our lives. That is, there are recordings that we made in Paris at INA GRM 20 years ago, a doorway in a Norwegian nightclub, 20 years ago, but also the spaghetti pan that my mother used when I was a little kid. We went to her kitchen in her house and recorded the sound of that pan. And Martin's mother had a saucepan that's on that record that we still own in our kitchen. So some of the sounds really have been tied to objects that were with us our whole lives. I'm 54, and Martin, you're 62. So we've had a little time to be on this planet. And yeah, the album is nostalgic, but not only nostalgic. It's about memory in the present and the way things change. And part of change for us was to try something very new, which was to record live in a studio, which we'd never done. So we built up a long piece called Metallic Life Review. That's the second half of the record. And that was tracked in Baltimore. But that also was something that has many layers of time in it. Because we recorded the objects at Tempo House in Baltimore. Then we went on tour and made pieces. Then we went back to Tempo House and played live in the studio.
And then we edited the recording that it's mostly live. There's like 3 major additions, not so much edits. We didn't have to take out. We did it pretty well. It wasn't like bad. It wasn't like that. But I added some things.
I think that feeling of live playing, there are records that have been assembled, like what Teo Macero did with Miles Davis, where you don't perceive it as collage music, you perceive it as an improviser responding and thinking in the moment. We like to flow between things that are very obviously edited and things that feel very played,
Your working techniques and processes seem quite complex and meticulous. Did they change during these years, and how, considering in particular the progress in digital technologies? And did you change the shared responsibilities among you?
I think the climate change that's making our planet so hot is also affecting our house. And it means that the basement studio that we used to use to make records, we used that basement studio for Marriage of True Minds, for Plastic Anniversary, for Ultimate Care 2. It's too hot now. So we work in a studio in Martin's room on the...
That has air conditioning.
Yeah. So that's the biggest change is a different studio because of different conditions, and also a jump from Digital Performer to Logic.
I mean, our career is potentially interesting in the way that a lot of people who started in the early 90s are. It really is like a history of digital recording
techniques,
possibilities and techniques. In that the first things we ever did were made it was a little beige box that cost $200 that came with a piece of software called Sound Edit. And it was in 8-bit mono. And the first things we did together were made with that. And it had, the software had, kids, like people today can't even conceive of it. It had one undo. You could make one backwards step. And that was it.
And destructive editing, it was really fun to work that way.
It makes you commit to your decisions. It's actually a positive thing. And then every step of digital recording is sort of what we've been doing as it went. The next thing we tried was the first version of what is now Pro Tools. It was called Sound Tools. I hated it immediately. I never used it again. And we used a digital, what was called Performer, which was originally only MIDI. And then they added sound to it, and it became Digital Performer and Mark of the Unicorns software.
We also were at Sonar Festival, and our friend Robert Henke was like, oh, you should see this new thing I've come up with. And we go into his hotel room, and he opens a laptop, and he shows us this thing that can do all these weird new things. And it's Ableton Live. It was the very beginning.
It was
of that.
Ableton, and
you know,
it didn't have a name.
yeah, it was.
And we were all super drunk, and we were like, he was like, I have a thing, it's going to change everything. And we were like,
yeah, right.
You know, we were all like, whatever, it's going to change everything.
And then we saw it, and he was right. Yeah.
It changed everything.
Yeah.
Extrapolate a creative process for your musical production? What is depending on each musical project?
I mean, every song is starting fresh in the sense that you want to make something worth someone's time, and there is no guarantee that what used to work will work now. We try to be hard on ourselves as far as quality control. I make a lot of music, and Martin has to be the one to be like, no. So that, you know, I hope that would go some way towards avoiding a problem of surplus or too much, or of just putting out a record because you can. It needs to have an element of surprise and joy, or what's the point, you know? I don't know. I mean, there isn't I've sometimes found myself thinking, oh, well, the concept here is strong, and so how can we lose? And then you realize, well, it's easy.
You can lose.
You can lose, you know. If
even
the music,
with a strong concept.
If the music doesn't grab you, then what is, you know, it's not enough to say, oh, well, this is a very shocking sound source, or this is a very esoteric sound source. Like, so what? You know, sometimes you want something that is just instantaneously perception-based, strong, you know?
I read an interview that Ryu was pointing out the value of restraints in artistic expression. Setting limits is a precise artistic practice, a framework that several artists decided to choose. Could you please explain what does it mean for you?
I mean, in the past, the jukebox was the conceptual restraint. You know, people wanted to have their statement in 2 or 3 minutes to fit on the 7-inch record in the jukebox. For us, restraint can mean a conceptual thing.
What is
no microphone?
What's the Italian word for jukebox?
Jukebox.
Oh, really? Same word. Oh, whoa.
It's the same. I mean, when you say, okay, you can't do something, you might think, oh, it's so limiting, and all I want to do is the thing I'm being told no. But there's so much freedom in following a rule and then interpreting what counts as the rule. You know, we face this with the washing machine record because, yes, it's only a washing machine, but does that mean we can use the sink where the water comes out? Is that still the washing machine or not? You know, there's a lot of interpretive space. Spazio libera inside of these constraints. I think that's the magic of a constraint, is actually how free it is. You think of the sonnet, you know, this form, Italian form, Petrarca, yeah. You know, that the form says, okay, here's the shape, but there's so much freedom inside there. There's an infinity inside restraint, I think.
You have several sources of inspiration, referring in particular to the ones coming from not musical sources, which can be the ones that currently influence you the most.
Actual musical sources. Oh. You mean like
not musical?
No, non-musical.
Non-musical.
Yeah.
Okay, my brain was totally moving the other direction. I pay a lot more attention to birds now. My doctor said, you're old recently. And one of the things that I had to do was, he was like, you need to walk every day, at least 30 minutes. So I walk 30 minutes around my neighborhood, and I have gotten the app that everybody gets, like that identifies every bird. And now I start to recognize all of their songs. I'm like, oh, that's now I can't remember any of the names of that. I recognize the cardinal. Thank you. I recognize the cardinal, and the European starling, and the house finch, so that is a new sound world for me. Whereas before it was like, oh, birds, all birds.
Oh, they are maestros.
Yeah. But the European starling is an amazing singer.
Which is your opinion about the artistic possibilities given by AI and recent technology developments?
I'm very torn because I don't want to rule out any tool in advance, and I think a tool can be used well or poorly. I will say I have yet to see art with AI that wasn't very problematic in terms of its dependence on referencing what is already recognizable. So people take it and then they make Bart Simpson as Superman. Like, it seems to be about plugging in franchises and intellectual property to gain instant virality online, and I don't find that an interesting strategy. I think it's...
We heard something just the other day that was like, what was it?
Oh, the Jamaican Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
So somebody took
Sailor Moon
the Sailor Moon theme, but had it sung by like Jamaican reggae voices, and it sounds like an ancient 70s reggae track, but it's sung in Japanese. And it was AI, but it was undeniably like, okay,
this
is really appealing. But I think the problem with that is
this worth 100,000 data centers that are sucking all the water out of the earth and hundreds of billions of dollars to make? No.
It's compounded by the fact that, politically speaking, in our country, AI is the preferred aesthetic strategy of fascism. And so when, Trump is using AI to make videos of immigrant people crying as they're arrested and put on planes, this propaganda is cheap and fast in certain ways, and that appeals to people that are trying to bombard us all with propaganda every day. And so it leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. I don't want to rule out that, you know, there are people that are creative with AI. I would say the data bots are one example. Jennifer Walsh is a composer that we like a lot, who's done some interesting experiments with training an AI on her voice and creating variants of her voice that are AI generated. So I think there are paths. But for me personally,
it's poison.
I like making choices, you know, I like building randomness and chaos into the way that I select things, but I like to control even that chaos, you know. I like to build a patch that will make randomness happen. I don't like to just outsource it.
I like the works of people. I don't want to see the works of people as reinterpreted by a machine that's really good at reinterpret, you know, that takes like.
I learned recently the word cliché in French.
Excuse me.
The original meaning of the word cliché was a phrase that's used so often that at the print house they already have the phrase laid out, so they can just click it into place. So the cliché is that which clicks into place. And I think a lot of the citation-heavy referentiality of AI is also all about cliches. It's about reinforcing what does the beautiful girl look like? What does the strong man look like? What does the pitiful kitten look like? All these animated videos rely on cliches. So I don't see them giving me that surprise, that burst of something new has emerged. And I think by definition, these are averaging prediction machines. They predict the next cliche that would fall into place. So that's not where I see the creativity coming from.
Every kind of artistic expression is not neutral. Sculpting the world, invading our ears and eyes, rebounding in our brain, fighting or resonating with our memory. What comes first, in your opinion? Communication, testimony, self-expression?
We're born screaming, so self-expression is probably first. I don't know if that's communication yet. I guess it is. A baby is saying, I'm hungry. Yeah, it's hard to know. I mean, what is the origin?
I'm afraid I would have to hear the question again.
Testimony, communication, or self-expression, what comes first? First in priority or importance, or first in the origin story?
No, for you.
Oh, what's most important?
Yeah.
It's not testimony, because what we do is not, I think, about our internal emotions. It's about encountering things in the world. So I would say encounter more than any of those, because I don't think it's where I'm pouring out my emotion, you know. I don't know. What do you think?
That sounds right.
Okay.
of the future?
Yeah, all I have is hope, and I hope that people, engage with three-dimensional sound systems more. But that's not a prediction. That's a hope. That people work with multi-channel music.
Yeah, I wonder if music is cumulative, where the
it's just that's selfish. It's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, the music of the future will sound wrong to me, and that's probably a good thing.
If you're not confused, it's not. good art.
Yeah, it's that sense of wrongness. You know, maybe it's about generational stasis. You know, in the study of computing, when they think about how a computer works, that there's a kind of what's called a problem space, and it stacks, and then you solve certain problems, and then you move on to the next problem. And I think with music and development of aesthetics, it's kind of the same. People get very excited about one set of issues, and then suddenly new problems, new techniques, new social conditions emerge, and then there's a new paradigm. But I hope it's cumulative, where we bring everything from the past with us, you know?
Thank you very much, Drew. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Very
Cheers.